Progress.
Hey everybody, just a quick video on an overview on Domus Analytics. I've done a lunch and learn on this and presented at office meetings, but in case you wanted to review this, just simple overview. So to get to, first of all, what is Domus Analytics? It is a statistical program that takes MLS data and instantly formats it into graphs and scattergrams and all sorts of cool stuff. And you can narrow it down by areas and all sorts of neat stuff. So I'm going to go over that in a second here. It's a great tool. Probably the best use of this tool is to step your people into pricing if you're trying to kind of show what the marketplace is doing, as it were. So first of all, to get into Domus Analytics, we're just going to click on the log into Paragon dashboard or the MLS dashboard, and then click on Market Stats. And should pull up here. Okay, cool. So this is the, sorry, I'm just making sure I'm not. So this is your Market Stats Member Portal. You have 5 options here, and they kind of go from simple to the most complex. So I'll try to review each one and give you a decent overview of kind of how to use it. First one is the overall market view. So if I click on the link in that little square there, it says Domus Market Infographic. This is just a simple visual representation of what's going on in the market. You can adjust the month here, right? You can adjust the areas and sub areas. So in Spokane, we have our major areas, which are like 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. And then we have sub areas within those areas to delineate out, kind of major markets within those sub areas. And then grids are the smallest things we have. So you can't do grids on this one. This is more just a general market overview. And really the value in this graph is how's the market, right? Somebody asks you, how's the market? It's like, well, actually market is very interesting right now. Our prices are up 26% over last year. We're averaging our median sales price is now 430,000. Our closed sales are just down like 5%. So they're still holding pretty steady. Our months of supply has increased to a half a month's of supply, which a seller's market is anything under 3 months. We were at a quarter month, so we are seeing some more inventory on the market, but it is still heavily a seller's market, and our new listings is off about. Our sales are down about 5%. Our new listings off about 4%. So we're still seeing a strong market, but we're not seeing quite the amount of sales in units that we saw last year at this time. That sounds a lot more educated than, yeah, the market's great, or man, yeah, I'm busier than I can know, whatever your standard answer is. So again, you can, look at this like if somebody bought their house back in August 2018, you can say, well, this was what the market was doing then, and this is what it's doing now, and do a comparison. Maybe that might have value, but just to give people kind of an idea of how they've fared since they're in their term of home ownership. So if I go back to the main tab up there, and there's the market review. This is simply just a little bit more, has a couple more stats in it than the infographic. So if I click on that, it will show me basically a graphical representation of what's happened in the past 13 months. And as you mouse over things, you can see data points. We can see the amount of closed sales. So we dipped real low during the February, January market, relatively speaking, and now we're back up in March to kind of where we were at in March last year, just a little bit off. Also list price. So this is your list price to sales price ratio. We're seeing on an average almost 105%. which is still obviously indicative of the seller's market, where people are consistently paying over full price and alluding to bidding wars and whatnot. This has, if you switch it to year to date, it does change the numbers a little bit, and puts it into kind of bar graphs. So I'm not a statistician, so I can't tell you like, oh, year to date is better than 13 months. 13 months paints a picture over what's happened a little bit clearer. The year to date compares, last year at this time, or I'm sorry, January through March of last year was 329,000. January through March of this year is 400,000 as far as median sales price. So it still shows its relative stat in that it's in the 20 percentile of increase. So I think that's more just a preference. Now, again, you can select sub areas here. If you want to know where those sub areas are at, if you go into Paragon and click on the maps icon and that first page, it will take you to a page with all the maps on it and the sub area maps. You can see that. So that is the market insights tab. I go back to or market review tab, I should say. Market insights tab. This is where you can, if we click on that one, this basically has allows you to look at over time what sales price is done in the marketplace. We can also look at the amount of closed sales, and you can see the seasonality is very apparent in our marketplace for the fourth quarter and kind of, or at least fourth to first quarter, kind of the winter months. You can also see sold price per square foot. I'm not a huge fan of that because square footage can be a little skewed. But percent of list price received, you can see here, like we went bonzos that first quarter of last year, and we're kind of on track doing it again. So it'll be interesting to see what April brings. But we've been steadily just becoming more and more competitive, and we had a little dip here at the beginning of the year, but for the most part, it's still very, very strong. So I think this is where you can show people like, okay, this is what, so you help setting an expectation. If I go up here to show filters, this is where I can get pretty granular. In other words, I can get down and say, okay, I don't want to include new construction in this. Or I want to just select these grids. So maybe my house is in grid 57. And I would go because my house is in grid 57. And so if I deselect all of those and then go down to grid 57, okay. And you're going to see the areas previous to it adjust to that grid. So grid 57 is in sub area 331, which is in the north and Spokane County, et cetera. So not a big deal there, but this might be, if I'm trying to show what's happening in a specific area, I can then hide the filters and it'll show me the graph as it pertains to that specific area. You can see again, and there's a little bit higher priced product in grid 57. So we're not seeing quite the competitive nature where we're seeing, the 105% over list price expectation. And that might be, again, you're setting the expectation for that client. We can see what sales prices have done. It's still crazy. Average sales price up there is 635, so a couple $100,000 over what the median sales price is for the market. So that's where you can, maybe infer that it's not as competitive at that price point, and so you're seeing maybe 100%, 101% of list price versus the 105%. You can also go down and do this by quarter or by year, down along the bottom. You can select by city, by property type, all sorts of stuff. So again, when you start tinkering around with too many variables, sometimes it gets I want to say it gets more confusing to explain. And so it might be worth just, keeping it simple in some of these graphs. So I'm going to go back to my original tab here. So we've got an infographic, review, insights. Now I'm going to go to weekly trends. So this, I see value in this one in that maybe I did a market analysis for somebody in March and they're going to list in mid-May. And they're like, well, what's happened? Interest rates went up and blah, 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 and what's going on? This is a week by week analysis of what's happened. And you can see we're entering our selling season. So we're seeing that still trending up. Now, this is the entire market. So again, I can narrow this down by particular grid. If I did that same thing, I'd deselect everything at the very top and then go down to, this is only sub area. Sorry, this is a grid. So sub area, maybe I do area 331, which is a sub area I'm in. And select that, and you can see kind of what that's been looking like as far as the sales price. If I want to change this graph to percent of list price received, we can see, oh geez, we're down to 100%. Oh, mercy me. That's horrible. It's just for those of you who've not been in a market other than this one, usually it's like 97 or 98% of list price is your average. So hitting 100% on average is kind of a big deal. Anything over that is just nuts. So that's the weekly trends that can kind of give people an idea. Maybe you can start seeing, or trend that line to where it's like, okay, we're on the upswing or we're on a downswing or whatever. And then again, you're using this not to make decisions. You're using this to step people into the data set that you pulled from Paragon that points to what's happening with their house right now. So you can say, yeah, it looks like we're on a downswing. You can see there's a bunch of active listings on the market that aren't going anywhere. So now this is more competition. And so kind of like that graph showed you before, that it looks like things are kind of leveling out a little bit. They're dropping off a cliff, but they're definitely leveling out, which is a likely story for the near future. Okay, so that is our weekly trends. And then this last graph is kind of fun. It's pricing insights. And this is an interesting one because it took me a second to figure this one out. Pricing insights is where I can take an area, right? And I'll select all here, and then I'm just going to do my grid 57 again, like why not? Since I've already used it as an example. Select grid 57. You can see here, it's going to give me what's called a scatter graph or scattergram. And it's going to give me a bunch of data points on here of active, pending, and sold sales. And I could even just narrow it down to, hey, I just want to see what has closed. So maybe I'm going to take out active or pending to get an idea of what that looks like. And I would probably go at least 3 months, right? I mean, that's a pretty good data set. So here's my 3 months, the last 3 months. We can see the average sales price is around 600. Or 595, I should say median sales price is 595, price per square foot, 232 square feet. So if I had a home that was listed at 3754 square feet, and I was going to list it at 750,000, what does that look like? And if I hit enter, it will show that, hey, you can see the quartiles here. And it says low priced luxury listings. So this is a higher price per square foot, but a lower value range. Down here is low priced value listings. So again, these are maybe not super nice finishes, but they're more affordable housing. Up here, you have high price luxury listings. So this should be your kind of cream of the crop stuff. That's nice, not only a nice square, but maybe it's on a view or waterfront or something like that. These are probably likely view properties. And then down here, you have high priced value listings. So again, you want to practice this a little bit, because basically the house I'm describing is what that square footage and that house plan is going for right now is at 750 in certain areas of this greater area. So we can see that and you would want to be able to interpolate this like, hey, if we price it here, this is where we're going to be at in the scheme of pricing, which I think we are you're a great quality finish, and this is telling me we're going to be in range, because we don't have a view or anything like that, but we're at a high quality level of finish. Therefore, we should probably be somewhere in this quartile. The closer we are to this median here, probably the more competitive the pricing would be. But I'm going to show you what this really means when I go over my market analysis, and you can fill it in that way. So, or if somebody's like, I want a barn sale, I want to fire sale this thing, and let's say I put in 600 up here, I hit enter, then that's a fire sale, right? That's like, okay, well, we're definitely way under price per square foot, and we are right around the median sales price for that area. And so that should be pretty competitive. So I think the closer you get to these lines from when you're on the right side of the graph, the more competitive you are. And then on the left side of the graph, the further away from the line you are, again, the more competitive you are, the more aggressive your price is. So, and you can see how it kind of has these graphs over here, these little indicators change when I change that price. And green is like, hey, you're a screaming deal. Yellow is like, yeah, you're probably in market. Red is like, yeah, you might be overpriced. And you can see in this one, the price per square foot, we're a screaming deal, and then we're on the top end of the listing price for that. So again, this is something you might want to practice if you're going to show this graph, kind of how you're going to describe it, because this particular house I'm thinking of has great quality per square foot finish. It's completely finished, and the exact plan is selling at this price. And so this 80% doesn't concern me a whole lot because those prices have gone up. But I really like the fact that I'm staying at a low cost per square foot, because then that hopefully makes us more competitive in the marketplace. So hopefully this is helpful. It's a lot to unpack, but that's just, again, a general overview of what Domus Analytics, what the basic functions are. If you have any questions, feel free to always reach out to me. I'm happy to research something more or dig into it deeper. But for the most part, it's pretty intuitive, and it just depends on kind of what you're comfortable with explaining. So hopefully this helps, and have a great rest of your day.